Welcome everyone to another edition of Making an Impact. I am your host, Simply Sensational Billy James. We got a great show. We're going to talk about the debut of the Dollhouse tonight. Was the debut of the Dollhouse. Also Kurt Angle versus Eric Young for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. But in a TKO Night of Knockouts, we have a four-way to determine the new #1 contender to the TNA Knockouts title. All former champions. 6-time former Knockouts champion Angelina Love, 5 times former champion Madison Rayne, 4 times champion Angelina Love, and 2-time TNA Knockouts champion Brooke, aka Brooke. They're all going to go at it in a fatal 4-way. The winner becomes the new #1 contender to the TNA Knockouts title. Also, it's what we've been waiting for. The TNA Knockouts champion Taryn Terrell puts her title on the line against the #1 contender Awesome Kong. Will Taryn be able to find a way to get out with the title and beat Awesome Kong, or will we see a new Knockouts champion and Kong leave become a 3-time TNA Knockouts champion? Well, we got this and a lot more, and we're going to get to it right now. Okay, Kurt Angle come down to the ring and called out Eric Young and point blank asked him, who am I getting tonight? The old Eric Young or this crazy lunatic Eric Young? Well, Young goes to talk about how he's ever since he's lost the title, he's been screwed. He's had people talking in his ears and they've been making sense, and it's been sending him in a ball of fury that was becoming unstoppable, but Kurt stopped it by talking some sense into him and such, and talks about, you know, how it means everything to be the TNA champion. He's been called crazy his whole life. Well, key in the music. That's right, the greatest man that ever lived, Austin Aries, makes his way down to the ring with that feast or fired briefcase, a guaranteed TNA World Heavyweight title shot. He gets in there and he makes it clear to Kurt Angle, hey, look, you can't trust Eric Young. Look what he did to his best friend Bobby Roode. He's a freaking lunatic. He's a freaking time bomb ready to explode. You can't trust him. And then Austin Aries throws that curveball. As you know, he is the master and creator of Option C. There's always options, and Austin throws down a curveball. He's cashing in his feast or fire briefcase. So tonight, instead of Young, it will be Austin Aries versus Kurt Angle. Probably the best match in the history of TNA according to Austin Aries. Well, this pisses off Eric Young, who leaves in a tirade. So it looks like now we got Austin Aries versus Kurt Angle for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Okay, we had our 4-way to determine the new #1 contender to the TNA Knockouts title. Gail Kim versus Angelina Love versus Madison Rayne versus Brooke, aka Brooke. Well, they came down the ring, Gail first, Angelina. Brooke comes out to her new theme music, Girls Got Booty, which, oh yeah, Brooke, you got booty, that is for sure. Shaking that rope breaker. And as she turns back to head toward the ring, blindsided by Madison Rayne, and we have a free-for-all on the outside of the ring, and Madison sends Brooke head first into the guardrails. These are the old style steel police barrier type ones, so that had to hurt. So we have Gail in the ring with Madison Rayne and Angelina Love, who start with Gail holding her own until Angelina and Madison get control of the match. This match was pretty damn good throughout the early part of the match. Brooke was out of the equation because they made sure to keep her on the outside of the ring. At one point in the match, we had all 4 ladies lock in submission holds. But it was started out with Gail getting Madison into a head scissors type submission move. Then Angelina locked a similar head scissors type submission move on Gail, followed by Brooke to do the same. Gail doesn't escape. It's Madison who escapes and hits Brooke. Going back and forth. Finally, it breaks down toward the end of the match. Angelina Love hits a face breaker on Brooke, but then she takes an eat to the feet by Gail. But before Gail can cover Angelina Love, she gets nailed by Madison with the raindrop. Well, Madison then turns her attentions to Brooke, tries to take Brooke out, but Brooke goes for a school roll. 1-2, doesn't get the pinfall. She doesn't stop. She locks it in. She hits the Tez Shocker on Madison Rayne. 1, 2, 3. Brooke Tezmacher is the new #1 contender to the TNA Knockouts title. This match was freaking awesome. This shows why TNA has the best women wrestlers on national TV today. And I know I get an argument a lot about this, and and such, but here's how it breaks down. Here's the 3 there on the 3 big 3 there on TV, or the big 2 they're only on national TV, and that's WWE Divas and TNA Knockouts. Okay, if you're going to rank the top 3, I would agree NXT Divas, Knockouts, WWE Divas. But this was a match that shows why these women can wrestle and why they earned the right to be in this type of spotlight, high-profile match. So, Brooke Tezmacher is the new #1 contender to the TNA Knockouts title. As you can see, I'm rocking my Don't Mess With Brooke t-shirt. That's right, because that girl's got booty, for sure. Okay, we had a match between a member of the Beatdown Clan and the Rising, which it turned out Micah would be representing the Rising, while it appeared that MVP was going to represent the Beatdown Clan. However, after MVP drops Micah, King gets a cheap shot in, and it's King representing the Beatdown Clan, as MVP says, "I said one of us was going to take you on. I didn't say who." So, of course, a lot of distraction, double teaming. Micah had very little offense during this match. He made a little comeback in the middle of the match, hitting a nice slam on King, but King was dominating also due to interference from the Beatdown Clan, Low-Key and MVP. King hit a nice enziguri kick on Micah off the ropes after Low-Key had pushed him, had pushed his feet down, causing him to go nuts first into the top ropes due to distraction by MVP with the referee. Believe it or not, Micah won the match. He was able to finally make a comeback. King missed another spinning kick and allowed Micah to hit a Samoan drop and get the 1-2-3 and get the win. However, after the match, the Beatdown Clan comes in and they clean house on Micah until Eli Drake and Drew Galloway come down, even it out to 3-3, but it doesn't last for long as Homicide comes down with the baton and he starts taking out people. And then from out under the ring, MVP pulls out the steel pipe, gives it to Low-Key, and they go to town beating up Drew McIntyre, but I mean Drew Galloway. This was a very average match. If you missed it, it's fine that you missed it, not a big deal. It was more of a storyline to set up a match for next week. between Loki and Drew Galloway, and it's going to be a steel pipe on a pole match. We'll talk about more of that later in the show. Didn't go into a lot of details of the match because it really, to me, it wasn't a match. It was more like Micah getting his ass kicked by 3 guys. So, anyway, if you missed it, not a big deal. Okay, we had the debut of the Dollhouse. Martia Bell and Jade. And Jade makes her in-ring debut as she takes on Laura Dennis. If the name sounds familiar to you guys that watch independent women's wrestling, you probably know her better as Cherry Bomb, because the crowd in Orlando sure did. Okay, that starts out. Jade hits Laura with a hip toss, but Laura comes back with a nice drop kick as the crowd is chanting Cherry Bomb. Then she turns around, locks in a crucified pin attempt, but doesn't get very far with it. Jade comes back and tears into Laura, nailing 2 shining wizards. Jade then prances around while Martia gets up on the ring apron. They're both laughing, and Jade licks a jawbreaker that Martia's been sucking on. Well, anyway, Laura comes back and tries to get some offense in. Jade tries to Martia interferes a little. The referee sends her to the back. Jade is frustrated. She tries taking out Laura, but is able to. As the referees get ready to get back in the ring, Martia comes down. She nails the referee in the back, sending him to the ring post first, taking him out. Then she climbs in the ring, and both Jade and Martia attack Laura. The referee motions to Christy Hemme, and Christy Hemme calls for the bell, and Christy Hemme announces Laura Dennis as the winner via disqualification. Well, the Dollhouse are not too happy with that and confront Christy Hemme with what she just said. Christy Hemme tries to back up, but then she gets sent into the guard railing. She gets nailed hard, then slammed into the steel steps, followed by a drop kick onto Christy from Jade into the steel steps. Excuse me. They leave Christy laying on the floor, putting the same jawbreaker in her mouth. Okay. All I can say is about Martia Bell and Jade. In case you didn't know, Jade is known on the independent circuit as Mia Yim. Mia Yim is a former Shimmers tag team champion. I could be wrong. I believe she's a former Shine tag team champion, and she's also a former Shine women's champion. That I do know for sure. I have to check out the tag team thing. So crazy chicks, crazy. I don't know how this is going to work. It's interesting. That's all I can say. Christy Hemme to take those bumps. Props up to you, girl, for taking those bumps. But this was more of a debut just to get across how crazy they are. Is Laura Dennis, a.k.a. Cherry Bomb, a permanent part of the Knockouts roster? We just have to wait and see. I don't understand why they had used her real name instead of using Cherry Bomb, but I think it's going to come to a point where they're going to have to refer to her as Cherry Bomb if the crowd keeps referring to her as Cherry Bomb. Well, is this the last of the night that we're going to see at the Dollhouse? We'll just have to wait and see. Okay, Magnus was in the ring, and he talks about the events that's been going on the past few months in his life, and he talks about how it's not about him tonight, it's about his fiancée, one of the greatest women's wrestlers of this generation, Mickie James. Mickie comes down the ring. We hear that hardcore country. That crowd lights up. Everybody is chanting, Mickie, Mickie, Mickie. Mickie talks about how she's had the honor of wrestling some of the greatest women's wrestlers of this generation. And she just didn't wrestle them, she beat them. And she goes on to talk about how winning titles have meant a lot to her, that professional wrestling has been her driving force. But now there's a new purpose in her life, and that is her son, Donovan. And she announces with heavy heart that she is going to retire to be a full-time mom. The crowd immediately starts chanting, "Thank you, Mickie," a sentiment that I agree with too. And then all of a sudden, sooner or later, gonna put you down. That's right. The cowboy, James Storm's music plays. He comes down there and talks to Mickie, trying to talk her out of it, talking about, "Mickie, you ain't just any woman. You're a woman that likes to kick ass, drink beer. You'd rather wear cowboy boots than high heels." And matter of fact, Mickie did look extremely hot in the dress she was wearing, with cowboy boots, by the way, and such. And he starts persuading her and finally cons her into one more match. The crowd chants, the minute he says one more match, the crowd chants, "One more match." Now Magnus is like, "Dude, we've made this decision. It's been a difficult one, but we've made this decision." And Storm counter argues, "Well, if decisions are difficult, they wouldn't be made. They should be made." So he keeps pressuring, and Mickie finally agrees. One more match. Okay, let's talk about this. Is Mickie James really retiring, or is this a story angle? I don't know. This is the cool thing. I honestly do not know. This is the thing, when you take a real life situation and you turn it into a wrestling angle, it's hard to tell what is a storyline and what is real. So, is Mickie really retiring, or is this a storyline? Are we really getting her last match, or is this just part of a storyline? That is what makes this so interesting. I've been a huge Mickie James fan from her days as Alexis Lurie. I first saw her late night watching Women's Extreme Wrestling, and I saw her as Alexis Lurie, and I was like, "Damn, this girl's good." Then, of course, we know what happened. She went on to WWE under her real name, Mickie James, and we all know what happened there. Probably one of the greatest matches of her career, WrestleMania 22, where she took on, no, I take it back, 23. She took on Trish Stratus no, it is 22, I'm sorry, for the WWE Women's Championship, which Mickie won, being one of the few to win the women's title at WrestleMania. I have to say, Mickie, it's kind of strange if she does retire. I've had the great privilege to get to see Mickie wrestle 3 times, and it was at 3 different stages of her career. The first time I got to see her wrestle was before she fully turned heel at the beginning of her run in the WWE. She was still doing the fan stalker gimmick with Trish Stratus, and I saw them in a Divas tag team match in Dothan, Alabama. She was teaming with Trish to take on the tag team of Victoria and Candice Michelle. And I got to see her again in, I believe it was 2008. She was taking on the then women's champion, Beth Phoenix. I remembered that one because my young niece at the time, had a toy WWE Women's Championship replica belt, the toy belt. And she held it up as Mickie was coming to the ring. I remember that very much. And then, of course, I got to see Mickie wrestle in 2013, July, in Pensacola, Florida. She was the Knockouts champion at the time in her 3rd title reign, where she was defending the title against Velvet Sky. And I got to actually meet Mickie James, so that was quite an honor. So if Mickie's truly retiring, you know, she's going out on a high note, in my opinion. I'm just talking off of you know, the high end. She's held over almost 20 titles throughout her career. She's a former 5-time WWE Women's Champion, a former WWE Divas Champion, 3-time TNA Knockouts Champion, and the only woman to have ever held the WWE Women's, Divas, and TNA Knockouts title. The only woman. No woman has yet accomplished that feat. There are a couple that can do it. Gail Kim is one that can do it. Lisa Marie Martin, aka Victoria, she's another one who could do it. They both need a Divas title run. Beth Phoenix, Melina, Michelle McCool, and Layla are other ones who could do it, but they would have to go to TNA and win the Knockouts title. But nevertheless, just wrapping up, I know I've been going a little long on this segment, but I'm just a huge Mickie James fan. I know a lot of people are going to be pissed if she retires in TNA, but, you know, here's the deal. WWE had the chance to bring her back. She was down at NXT doing guest training for a week. They had plenty of time to talk to her about coming back. They chose not to avail themselves of it. So she retires at TNA. Don't bitch at Mickie. Don't bitch at TNA. Bitch at WWE for not bringing back Mickie. And that's all I got to say about that. Okay, we had a singles match between Davey Richards and Manic of the Revolution. Started out with Davey Richards in control with some stiff kick, with some serious moves, but then Manic was able to come back. And one of the sweet moves Manic hit during this match was he hit a Hurricanrana and he turned it into a cross arm breaker, hyperextending Davey Richards' arm. From there, he goes to town working on that arm, hitting a drop kick right into the arm. Then he locks in another submission armbar hold onto the arm. Davey Richards tries to fight the best he can. He finally makes a comeback and is able to take Manic out with a stiff drop kick. Toward the end of the match, he goes to the top rope, goes for the double foot stomp, rolls through it. Manic tries for a finishing move, but then Davey Richards rolls it up into a victory roll, only gets a 2 count, and then he hits the creeping death to get the win. Right then and there, after the match, we have Koyai and Abyss come down, and they start devastating Davey Richards, beating the living crap out of him until the TNA Tag Team Champions, the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, come down to aid Davey Richards, and we have a 3-for-all between the Revolution, the Hardys, and Davey Richards. This was a good match. I know I didn't go into a lot of detail on it, but it was an all right match. My problem is why did we need to have the match on the show? And I'll explain why I have that kind of attitude here a little later on the show. But I just wasn't a fan of it. Now, the funniest thing during the match was some fan in the crowd actually had a sign that said Magic Manic. And they were chanting, there was a few chants for Manic. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But hey, it's a crazy world out there. But anyway, if you missed the match, you want to check it out, that's great. It wasn't a bad match, but it's not one like, oh my God, you got to go and watch this match type thing. Okay, we had Ethan Carter for third come down the ring with Tyrus in a stupid hat carrying red, white, and blue balloons with a sign saying EC3 for 2015. And EC3 stands at a podium and he goes into a spew. Don't ask what EC3 can do for you, but what you can do for EC3. And he goes on the title, right, talking about how he is going to start a unifying the fans with golden aspirations. He's going to unite the "you can't wrestle" chants with the "you can, yes you can" chants. He is going to bring the whole new world to prosperity, the country. He talks about how the U.S. will become the Carter country, led by the hardcore American icon. And he goes on and on and on. He talks about when he becomes TNA champion, he will defend the title worldwide, into space, orbiting the moon. Hell, he'll take it and defend it against the Martians on Mars. Well, at that point, Mr. Aries comes down the ring and tells him, "Dude, you are so full of shit. You're better suited to run for president of Washington. Hey, I got the perfect running mate for you, Anthony Weiner. Here's how the ticket can read: Lil Weiner and Anthony Weiner." Well, that doesn't impress EC3 too much. But then Aries gets serious. Says, "You don't politic your way into a title match. You work for it through sweat, tears, and hard work." And then we have a three-way breakout, and he knocks EC3 on his ass on the outside of the ring. And it looks like the feud's going to continue between EC3 and Anderson. You know, Anderson talks about, you know, working hard for it. Well, you know, EC3 did make a point of why should he get a title shot? He's undefeated. Almost over 2 years. Yeah, I think that deserves a title shot. But we'll have to wait and see because there's other guys in line. Namely, Eric Young, Austin Aries, and there's a few others on the list. This was a real fun segment, but if you missed it, not a big deal. But just be aware, we're going to have Anderson versus EC3 feud to look forward to. Okay, we had the TNA Knockouts title match. Taryn Terrell defending the TNA Knockouts title against Awesome Kong. Before the match began, Taryn grabbed the mic and said, "Let's make this a no DQ match," which Awesome Kong agrees, and Taryn wastes no time charging Kong, but Kong deflects her off. They start fighting on the outside of the ring. Awesome Kong gets the better advantage of it, picking Taryn up, spinning her in a 360 direction before sending her headfirst into the guardrails. Ouch! Then Awesome Kong pulls out 2 kendo sticks from out under the ring and goes to town on Taryn. She picks Taryn up, get ready. They hit a power bomb onto the steel steps. Taryn's able to slip out of it and send her head first into the guardrail, into the steel steps. She steps on Awesome Kong's hair, but Awesome Kong pushes her back into the ring. She avoids the splash by Kong. She goes, Taryn goes up to the top rope, goes for a crossbody, hits it, but only gets a 2 count. Well, the fans chant, "We want tables." Well, Taryn's going to oblige. She goes out, she gets a table, then she grabs a kendo stick. She nails Kong in the corner, throat first. Then she sets up the table. She gets ready to hit the carry cutter on Kong to try to put her through the table. Kong blocks it. She tries again, but Kong sends her face first into the table and then lays her on the table. Kong goes up to the top rope. However, Jade and Marty Bell from the Dollhouse comes down and they attack Kong with the kendo sticks. Then Terry comes up, gets ready, and with the assistance of the Dollhouse, hits a power bomb on Awesome Kong, putting her through the table, and then very seductively, I might add, pins Kong 1, 2, 3. Taryn Terrell retains the TNA Knockouts title. She then grabs the mic and seductively says, "Nobody thought I could beat Kong, but I beat her. And nobody is going to beat me for this title. Because when you mess with me and my friends, you're going to get it." And she seductively says, after putting the jawbreaker into Kong's mouth, "This is our house, the Dollhouse." as Jade and Martia spin around, dancing around Taryn Terrell. So it's official. Taryn Terrell has turned heel for the first time in her career in TNA. This is going to be interesting. Can Taryn do a heel character? It's going to be very interesting to see. Can't wait for it. This kind of makes it unique. She's teamed up with the Dollhouse. But it also makes sense why she asked for a new DQ match. So that's kind of cool. Interesting. I can't wait to see where this new heel turn with Taryn Terrell is going to go. Okay, we had our TNA World Heavyweight title match, Austin Aries versus Kurt Angle. Austin Aries comes down the ring, showing his pose as the greatest man that ever lived. When from behind, Eric Young attacks Austin Aries. He nails Aries in face first with the briefcase, sending him to the outside of the ring. Hits a pile driver, that's more devastating, on the ring floor. But Eric Young is not finished. He hits a second pile driver on Aries on the steel steps. And of course, while Aries' body falls to the floor, Kurt Angle comes out to stop it and goes to check on Aries, telling Eric Young, what the hell's wrong with you? Eric Young acts like he's going to back off, but then he nails Kurt from behind, sending him head first into the steel steps. I'll get it straight, and then stomps on his head while they're on the steel steps. Then he exposes Angle's surgically repaired knee, nails it with a chair, and then locks in the figure four with Angle screaming and bleeding, and the referee's pleading for Eric Young to let the hold off, and we go off the air. So it looks like Eric Young is not going to be happy until he gets that title shot. Now, in case you're wondering, Austin Aries still in possession of the Feast or Fire briefcase for that guaranteed title shot for the TNA World Heavyweight title, because the bell never rung. So, got that out of the way. So, where's this lead? Maybe we'll see a three-way match between the two, or maybe we'll see that title match next week between Eric Young and Kurt Angle. Because guess what? Next week, it's Hardcore Justice. Okay, Superstars of the Week. Brooke Tessmacher and Taryn Terrell. Brooke for that awesome win in that four-way match to become the new #1 contender to the TNA Knockouts title. And yes, that girl has got booty. I am so glad Brooke is going to get another shot at that TNA Knockouts championship. She deserves another run with the title. And Brooke has got a lot more to give in the Knockouts division. Taryn Terrell, her heel turn. Unexpected. I didn't see that coming. Well done. Kudos. Can she pull it off? That's going to be the million-dollar question. But as right now, I give her props for the heel turn. So again, this week's Superstars of the Week, Brooke Tessmacher and Taryn Terrell. You're a TNA Knockouts champion. Now, let's talk about the show. Here's what my problem was. Okay, this was supposed to be a night of knockouts. Okay, I didn't have a problem with maybe one guy's match, but the rest of the night should have been about the knockouts. We had we had 3 matches. Well, don't count the other one as a match, but still 2 guys matches. They should have had at least another knockouts match. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but that's just the way I feel about it if you're going to call it a night of knockouts. Okay, what do we got coming out of the show? We're going into Hardcore Justice. We already know we've got Drew Galloway, taking on Loki in a steel pipe on a pole match. It's already been announced the Hardys, the TNA Tag Team Champions, and Davey Richards will take on the Revolution, Manic, Abyss, and Koyai, I believe. It could be James Storm, but don't hold me to that. Okay? So, I would not be surprised if we see Kurt Angle faces Eric Young in some kind of a stipulation match. Also, when will we see that one more match from Mickie James, and who will it be against? That's the million-dollar question there. I'd love to see it against Awesome Kong. We've never seen that, and it would be freaking awesome. Also, with Taryn Terrell turning heel and joining Dollhouse, where does that leave Awesome Kong at? Is she out of the title picture? Will she get another title shot? Another million-dollar question there. EC3, when will he get his shot? All in all, good. And what's this between Mickie James and James Storm? What are they trying to do with that? And where's that going to lead? Or we're going to see a feud between the Cowboy James Storm and Magnus. That's going to be interesting to see. So we'll just have to wait and see how all that's going to wrap around and happen. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys, next week there will not be a Making an Impact. Due to work obligations, I'm just not going to be able to do a show next weekend, so there will not be a Making an Impact next weekend. But in 2 weeks, we'll be back to normal, and things should be interesting for sure. So don't forget to check me out on the Wrestling Debate. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio every Tuesday night. It's brought to you by the Nerdport Network. Myself, my good buddy, John P. Mayer. We host the show. We're joined by Sean Shark Williams, Andrew B., Jaime, Stat Boy, JT, Michelle, Summer. If I'm leaving anybody out, I apologize. We talk about everything. The WWE, TNA, Lucha Underground, PWS, Ring of Honor, you name it, we talk about it. This week's show will most likely we'll be talking about the fallout from Extreme Rules. So check it out. It's every Tuesday night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central, on Blog Talk Radio, brought to you by the Nerdport Network. Well, that's it for this week's edition of Making an Impact. I have been your host, Simply Sensational Billy James, and thank you guys for helping make this show successful. Last time I checked, 67 views. The week before that, 117 views. Thank you guys for making this show a success. I do this not to, I do it for the enjoyment because I love professional wrestling. I'm passionate about it, to disband my wife, but I am passionate about it. And I'm passionate about TNA because TNA, as a wrestling organization, I have had more of a fan-friendly experience than I've experienced at any other event. So just had to throw that out there. But anyway, we'll be back next week. You guys have fun.